Hi, my name's Gloria and welcome to my channel. Today I want to share some tips on how you can get back into reading in 2020. My first tip is to set yourself a realistic goal. So there's no point in setting a goal of reading 50 books in 1 year if you haven't read any last year. It's not going to work. You're going to set yourself up for failure and then you're going to feel like you can't possibly do anything next year. Back in 2018, I wanted to start a review blog to help me get back into reading. I had a goal of just 10 books for that year, and for anyone who read a lot as a kid, you could have read 10 books in a week when you were a kid. Unfortunately, our lives are a lot busier these days and there's a lot more distraction, so you need to find a goal that works for you, a goal that you can fit into your schedule. If it's just one book and you actually get that one book read in 1 year, that's perfect. That's all you need to do. Quantity does not equal quality, and you can read plenty of books that are absolute garbage and that are a waste of your time. There's no point in doing that. So set yourself a realistic goal, one that you can stick to, and it will build up the momentum and your confidence in reading for next year. So tip number 2 is, at times can be easier said than done. It's to pick books that you actually want to read. Even going into college and stuff, I wanted to read the classics and I wanted to be able to say that I'd read Ulysses and I'd read Chaucer and everything else. But if you just want to engage more with reading and find your love of reading again, or even for the first time, you need to find books that you actually want to read. It doesn't matter what you choose, and don't let anyone make you feel bad for choosing something that isn't a classic and something that isn't highly regarded and critically acclaimed. To get you back into reading and enjoying reading, you need to find something that will actually keep you interested and keep you reading through. Pick whatever you want to read. Tip number 3 is related to tip number 2, and it's that I started quite small with my books. I wasn't picking up the whole trilogy of Lord of the Rings or anything when I started. I actually started with short story collections and novellas. You can start with graphic novels as well. I picked up a few of those. It doesn't have to be a massive book for you to start with, and in fact I don't think it should be a massive book. I think you should start with slim volumes, little books, novellas, even a couple of short stories, just to get back into the flow of reading. If you haven't read in a long time, it can seem strange. We're so distracted these days because we get such instant gratifications from scrolling through Instagram and YouTube and watching TV shows and binging everything. So I think instead of picking up the biggest tome that you can find just to be able to say that you've read it, pick something that interests you. Even if it's a comic book, it doesn't matter. If you want to read it, it's reading. And also, it doesn't have to be physically reading. You can get ebooks as well, and even audiobooks. If it's not about physical books for you, audiobooks are totally fine as well. And also, don't spend loads of money. There are still libraries for the moment, thank God. So support your local library and get all the free books you want from there. You can also get audiobooks from the library as well, which is great. Tip number 4 is to read an old favourite. If you read as a child, you had plenty of books that you loved when you were younger. I actually have a couple here that I loved when I was younger. This one's In Deep Dark Wood by Marita Conlon McKenna. I absolutely loved it. It's got dragons in it. And this is just a Pippi Longstocking book that I loved. And this counts as a book. I mean, I loved going back and reading through and seeing the pictures and remembering how I felt when I first read this. And it doesn't have to be a kid's book or anything, but go back, if you're trying to find a love of reading again, go back and look at what got you started in reading in the first place. If you have a book on your shelf right now that you loved as a kid, pick it up, flick through it again. It might tell you what you want to read in the future as well. It might point you in the direction of other books to read. So I say go back and read one of your own personal classics, and it might point you where you need to go. My next tip is for the people who don't think that they have time to read. So I have a full-time job that I commute to about an hour a day each way. I'm also a dancer and a performer, so I spend a lot of time in classes and exercising and getting ready for shows and actually being at shows. I run a review blog where I have to compose reviews and take pictures and get in contact with authors and stuff, and now I'm making these videos and I still have time to read. The reason that I have time to read is because I take time out from watching Netflix, from scrolling through my phone for absolutely no reason when I don't have any notifications or anything to do. I read on the bus on the way to work, I read on my lunch breaks if something is really engaging to me. I read before I go to bed just like I did when I was a kid. I also think that you should find something that you can specifically designate for reading. I'm lucky to have a bath in our apartment, and every time I get into the bath I use that as reading time. I'll spend an hour or more in there, and the only thing I'm allowed to do is to read, and it helps me get through the books that I need to review, and it also gives me time to just relax and sit with a book that I really want to read. So if this is something that you really want to do and you want to spend time on, you do have time for it. You'll make time. If you really want to do it, you will make time for it. If it means not watching that brand new show that just came out on Netflix, or not watching this video on the way to work on the bus, you can get a couple of pages in, and a couple of pages is perfectly fine. You do have time, you just need to learn how to use it better. I also set up a Goodreads account to keep track of the books that I was reading. You don't have to do this at all, but if it is something that you're interested in doing, it's a good way of keeping track of the percentage, keeping track of, it actually tells you how much you need to read in the next few months to get your goal done if you have more than one book. And it's also a place where you can share reviews of the books that you've read and get in contact with other readers as well. And my next tip is something that I specifically used. I've said before that I have a review blog, which I'll link down below. You can use reviews as an incentive. You don't have to start a public blog or anything like that. But if you are reading books, it is very helpful to authors, whether it's a positive or a negative review, to leave a review on Goodreads or Amazon. The more engagement a book has, the more that publishers can see that a book has been read. It does help out the author to publish more books and to get the word out there for their books. So if you are reading books, even if it's from the library or anything, you can review them on Goodreads and stuff. And if you make a commitment to reviewing, even just 1 or 2 lines to say, I like this, I didn't like this, to reviewing the books that you have read, it can push you to get books done. If you do want to get to the end of a book, if you think to yourself, I should review this, I should give people my insight. If you have an experience that's similar to what's in the book, maybe other people who've read it don't have that experience, and they would be really interested to hear what you thought of this particular book. Reviews are a way to get those ideas and those opinions out there. So I would use reviews as a way to incentivize yourself to finish the books. And my final tip is to join or start a book club. So I come from a very isolated community in Donegal in the middle of nowhere. So starting a physical book club where you meet up regularly might not be the best thing for you where you live. If it is, it's fantastic to get together with people, even if it's just your close friends, and to talk about a book, read it together, discuss what you did and didn't like about it. But if you can't do that, there are so many online, especially with Goodreads as well, but you can even just start ones. There's ones on Twitter, Instagram. Ladies of Horror Fiction do regular readathons. There's YouTubers and booktubers who do regular readathons as well, where everyone reads the book at the same time and then they discuss it. If you find a book that you like and you find a readathon that includes that book or that type of book, then get engaged with those people, discuss with them about the book. There are even reading sprints where people put up live videos so that everyone can come in and read at the same time and then discuss them. It sounds weird, believe me, but for someone who does writing sprints, it pushes you to get a few pages in, you know. And joining a book club, you don't have to be super sociable about it. If you do it online, you don't even need to comment that much. I have social anxiety myself, so a physical book club might not be for you, but you can join in online and you can even just read other people's discussions of the book, see their takeaways in contrast to yours. But also a book club, if you really have no idea what you want to read and you don't have a specific genre that you want to get into, a book club is a great thing because generally people vote on books, and maybe someone else could pick the book for you, and then you can just read along with other people and discuss different aspects of it. So those are my tips for getting back into reading in 2020 or beyond. If you have any tips yourself, let me and everyone else know down below. If you have specific ways that you got back into reading, or if you have tips maybe for people who are going to college or going to study literature, particularly in college, and you find ways to not fall into a reading slump, please let me know down below. That would really interest me. I have an arbitrary goal this year of reaching 200 subscribers, so if you really like this video and you want to help, you can subscribe down below. Please like and comment and share, and I will see you in the next video.